When America's most powerful law enforcement agency starts acting like a political weapon, it isn't just an internal scandal, it's a threat to every single citizen who relies on it for safety and justice. That's exactly why one explosive confrontation on Capitol Hill has everyone talking. What unfolded wasn't just about a senator and an FBI official trading words. It was about the soul of the country, the independence of its institutions, and the question of whether the people in charge of protecting us are still loyal to the Constitution or to something far more dangerous. The hearing began with fire. Voices were raised, accusations flew across the table, and the room fell into the kind of tension you can feel through the screen.
How often do you speak to Stephen Miller?
Frequently on our Homeland Security task forces.
You frequently talk with Stephen Miller about subjects other than Homeland Security task force issues, correct?
I frequently talk to Mr. Miller about Homeland Security task forces.
Has Stephen Miller ever given you his opinions on how to run your agency?
Mr. Miller's interagency operations are invaluable to success of the FBI. That's what we talk about.
So you frequently discuss your job and your responsibilities with Stephen Miller and Pam Bondi, I imagine, as well.
Absolutely. She's the Attorney General.
Understood. Okay. Donald Trump promised to make us all safer. You have pushed out senior FBI agents with decades of knowledge and experience. In fact, this is the first time in FBI history that neither the director nor the deputy director have any experience with the FBI. You've shifted the agency's priorities primarily to pursuing Donald Trump's immigration enforcement agenda. According to ICE data, the Cato Institute, which is a conservative think tank, found that 20% of all agents have been diverted from their work to assist ICE immigration enforcement. 20%. Part of this operation is the work of mass law enforcement who jump out of cars, snatch people off streets at churches, schools, and their jobs and hospitals. Have there been any FBI agents who investigate crimes against children that have been assigned to immigration enforcement, yes or no?
The premise of what you say is entirely false.
Have there been any FBI agents who investigate
no.
foreign domestic terrorism?
You don't get to say America is not safer under this leadership.
I am not saying
America
that.
is safer because of the work of the FBI.
You're making a presumption of premise.
4,700 children.
Sir,
we have seized 6,000 weapons and 23,000 violent felons have been
FBI
arrested.
Agents who investigate human trafficking have been reassigned to immigration enforcement. You are not denying that FBI agents who are on the task force that fight against Russian oligarchs have not been reassigned. Public Correction Squad reassigned. People who defend us, defend children reassigned. You're not denying that. I've seen you time and time again attack my colleagues' premises of questions as a way to not answer the question. So let me end with this. I believe you have made our country weaker and less safe. I believe that we are more vulnerable to a major event, and I pray to God it doesn't happen. You've gutted the Bureau of Institutional Knowledge and Expertise. You fired or pushed out seasoned FBI officials, many with more than 20 years of experience, and were working on cases that were critical. You've been purging thousands of serious law enforcement officials who spent their careers keeping us safe, only to lower hiring standards in order to find anyone to replace them. And shockingly, you admitted in this hearing to Senator Coons that it would take 14 years to fill the vacancies at your agency. Many are the result of your purge. 20% of FBI agents are doing low-level immigration enforcement instead of their mission-critical work. You've disbanded entire task forces that stop election interference, foreign influence, public corruption. And who benefits from this? Well, corrupt people benefit from it. Criminals benefit from it. Vladimir Putin benefits from it. And it really makes me wonder who you're looking out for. It makes me think we can't trust you as a nation. You swear to release the Epstein files, but now you're withholding the Epstein files. You claim that you have a suspect in a serious assassination. Whoops, then you don't have a suspect. You know nothing about plans to remove FBI agents, yet you're directly involved in those plans. In the words of an ex-FBI official, you are overseeing, and I quote, generational destruction of the nation's premier law enforcement agency. Mr. Patel, in just 8 months, you have assaulted the institutional integrity of the FBI. But I know FBI field agents. I've worked with them in Newark. No matter how truly bad you are, you can't undermine the legacy of agents who fight every day to keep us safe, but you can tarnish the integrity of the agency and undermine the agency's capacity. I believe you're failing as a leader, and that your failure does have serious implications for the safety and security of Americans and our families. We're more vulnerable to domestic and foreign attack because of your failures of leadership. I don't think you're fit to hand the Bureau, but here's the thing, Mr. Patel. I think you're not going to be around long. I think this might be your last oversight hearing. Because as much as you supplicate yourself to the will of Donald Trump and not the Constitution of the United States of America, Donald Trump has shown us in his first term and in this term, he is not loyal to people like you. He will cut you loose. This may be the last time I have a hearing with you because I don't think you're long for your job. But I'm going to tell you this, I pray for you. I pray for you that you can step up and defend your oath, defend the Constitution, and do a much better job of defending this country. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do you want to say anything?
Yes,
at this
sir.
point?
That rant of false information does not bring this country together. If you want to work on bringing this country, it's my time, not yours.
My God.
If
You're
you
gonna
wanna
lecture
talk
me
about-
dividing this country,
It is
I
my
follow
time.
you on your social media posts that
It is
tear
my
this country
time
apart.
to
There
address
should be a
your
unifying-
falsehoods.
Oh,
You
Senator
are an
Booker, you can try
embarrassment
all
to the
you
division
want
in this
to
country.
not
Senator
take
Booker,
responsibility
time.
for what
You
you
had
have
your
said.
time.
Sir, you're
Your
making
time
a
is
mockery of this
over.
committee. Sir, you don't tell me my time is over.
You
The
know how
people
far
of New
we've
Jersey
come
tell me
since
what my
you
time
tell-
is.
Senator-
You can't lecture me.
You can tell me
Sir,
my
you
time's
have-
over?
You may be the charge of the
I'm not
FBI,
going anywhere.
but I am not afraid of you, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Not afraid of you.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Senator Booker, I announced at the beginning of this meeting that this back and forth, talking over each other, doesn't work. And I said if that happened, I asked Patel not to respond, and I was going to give him some time after the senator's time was up to respond. And he has the privilege to do that uninterrupted.
Mr.
So
Chairman, one point of
go
order.
ahead, Mr.
I've
Patel.
watched him talk over us, and you've never once criticized him for us not even being able to get our questions out.
Well,
He has been rude and disrespectful to senator after senator.
And when the senators were not giving him a chance to answer, I didn't stop the senator either. Go ahead, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If the FBI, under my 7-month leadership, were failing this administration in this country, why do we have 23,000 violent felons arrested this year alone? A double increase from that time last year. Why is it that we have seized 6,000 weapons? Why have we found 1,500 child predators and arrested them? Why have we have 300 human traffickers in jail? Why have we found and identified 4,700 children? Why have we seized 1,600 kilograms of fentanyl, enough to kill a third of the American public, a 25% increase alone from last year? 88,000 kilograms of cocaine seized, 7,000 kilograms of meth seized, and that's just on our criminal operations in summer heat. How is it possible that we're taking 8 kilograms off the streets of the cities in New Jersey and preventing the deaths of 607,000 people this year alone, a failure of the FBI and my leadership? How is it that we have counterintelligence arrests already this year exceeding the numbers from the entirety of last year? 33% increase in PRC, 83% in Russia, 60% in the CI space as it relates to Iran, and we haven't even talked about CT, the southern border, the northern border.
Senator Cory Booker didn't hold back. His tone wasn't just sharp, it was full of urgency, the kind of urgency that only comes when you believe the stakes are life or death for democracy itself. Across from him sat KASH Patel, the man now leading the FBI, who spoke in measured tones, rehearsed phrases, and statistics designed to sound impressive. But Booker wasn't buying it. He called out a pattern of deflection, accusing Patel of turning the Bureau into an arm of partisan enforcement. This wasn't theater, it was a warning shot, and for anyone listening closely, the real story wasn't Patel's answers, it was what those answers revealed about a crumbling institution. The exchange turned even sharper when Booker pressed Patel about his connections with people like Stephen Miller and Pam Bondi. These aren't random names. Miller is remembered as the architect of some of the harshest immigration policies in modern history, while Bondi has been one of the most vocal political allies of the administration. Patel admitted he frequently spoke with Miller. He openly acknowledged that Miller's input shaped how he approached his work. To Booker, this wasn't just an admission, it was proof that the FBI's independence had been compromised. Law enforcement isn't supposed to be driven by ideology, it's supposed to be impartial, blind to politics, loyal only to the Constitution. But when top officials start openly coordinating with partisan power brokers, the line between governance and manipulation fades, and that's what left Booker visibly shaken. The real bombshell came when Booker turned to the issue of reassignments inside the FBI. Reports showed that nearly 20% of the Bureau's agents had been pulled away from critical work, cases involving child predators, human trafficking, counterintelligence, even foreign interference, and reassigned to immigration enforcement. Think about that for a second. The very people who spend their days tracking down online predators, dismantling organized crime networks, and defending the nation against terrorism were suddenly told to shift their focus. Instead of protecting children, they were tasked with chasing families crossing the border. Instead of monitoring foreign adversaries, they were conducting raids. It wasn't just a bureaucratic decision, it was a moral failure, one that Booker described as nothing short of a generational destruction of the FBI. And the numbers back him up. Entire task forces dedicated to public corruption, cybercrime, and foreign interference were disbanded. Agents with decades of experience were reassigned or pushed out altogether. Booker reminded Patel and the nation that this was the first time in FBI history that neither the director nor the deputy director had any real experience within the Bureau itself. That loss of institutional knowledge isn't something you fix overnight. It isn't even something you fix in a few years. Patel himself admitted it could take 14 years, an entire generation before the FBI recovers from the vacancies created under his leadership. 14 years is enough time for foreign adversaries to regroup, for organized crime to entrench itself, and for corruption to thrive unchecked. Booker's fury wasn't just about the misallocation of resources, it was about who stands to gain from this chaos. A weaker FBI doesn't just hurt the American people, it benefits those who seek to exploit the country. Corrupt politicians, criminal networks, and even foreign leaders like Vladimir Putin have more room to maneuver when oversight is dismantled. When the watchdog is muzzled, the wolves are free to roam. Booker pointed directly to this reality, warning that the Bureau's weakened state makes the nation itself more vulnerable. Every agent pulled from a corruption case, every task force dissolved, every senior official forced out, it all adds up to one thing: a country less safe, less prepared, and more exposed to danger. But beneath the numbers and the policy details, there was something even more unsettling. Booker's questions weren't random, they were designed to shine a light on the deeper transformation happening inside the Bureau. A transformation where loyalty to one man begins to replace loyalty to the rule of law. Booker said it plainly: when agencies meant to protect democracy are twisted into instruments of ideology, the entire system begins to rot from within. History has shown this pattern before. Democracies rarely collapse overnight. They erode slowly, as institutions once considered independent become politicized step by step. Not through coups or dramatic takeovers, but through subtle corrosion, appointments that reward obedience, reassignments that prioritize ideology over expertise, and purges that hollow out the core of an institution. That's the warning Booker delivered in real time. The contrast between Patel and Booker couldn't have been sharper. Patel rattled off arrest numbers, drug seizures, and weapons confiscations. On paper, those numbers sound impressive. But Booker called it what it was: political deflection. Numbers meant to distract, not to answer the real question. What good are statistics if they come at the cost of institutional integrity? What good are seizures and arrests if the very structure of justice is being bent toward partisan ends? Booker's message was clear: law and order without justice isn't safety, it's control, and the FBI, under Patel's leadership, was veering dangerously close to becoming a tool of control rather than a guardian of justice. As the exchange reached its peak, Booker's tone shifted. He wasn't just angry, he was personal. He reminded Patel that the oath of office wasn't to a man, but to the Constitution. He warned that history would not remember statistics or talking points, but the decisions that weakened America's institutions from within. And then he said something that cut through the noise: "I pray for you." It wasn't sarcasm, it wasn't a throwaway line, it was a plea for conscience. A reminder that leadership, at its core, isn't about power, it's about service. Service to the people, to the Constitution, to the principles that define a democracy. In that moment, Booker wasn't just speaking to Patel, he was speaking to every official tempted to put loyalty above integrity. That moment crystallized the entire hearing. On one side was Patel, speaking in rehearsed lines, mechanical, calculated, focused on optics. On the other side was Booker, raw, urgent, demanding not just answers but accountability. One side saw governance as a scoreboard. The other saw it as a sacred trust. And that contrast tells you everything about where the nation stands, because this wasn't just about one official or one agency, it was about the direction of the country itself. Will the institutions that protect democracy remain independent guardians of justice, or will they continue sliding toward becoming political tools in a larger effort to consolidate power? Booker's confrontation made the stakes clear. America is not safer when truth is replaced with loyalty. America is not stronger when experienced agents are purged and replaced with obedience. And America is not freer when justice bends to politics instead of principle. These aren't abstract ideas, they're real present dangers. They affect whether criminals are held accountable, whether foreign adversaries are deterred, whether ordinary citizens can trust that the people sworn to protect them are acting in their best interest. The erosion of the FBI's independence isn't just the end of something, it's the beginning of something far worse. So what do we take from all of this? It's a warning that democracy doesn't disappear in a single moment of crisis. It disappears piece by piece, hearing by hearing, decision by decision, until one day people look around and realize the shield of accountability is gone. Booker's fiery confrontation with Patel was more than political theater, it was a mirror held up to the country, forcing us to ask who we trust and what we're willing to defend. Because if loyalty continues to replace integrity, the question won't just be whether one leader failed. It will be whether the nation itself failed to protect the very institutions that safeguard freedom. And that's why this moment matters. It's not about partisanship. It's not about left versus right, it's about the core principles that hold the republic together. The FBI's independence, the idea that no one is above the law, the belief that justice must be blind, these are not luxuries, they are the foundations of democracy. When they're compromised, everything built on them begins to crumble. Booker saw that. He said it out loud. And whether or not Patel chooses to hear it, the country cannot afford to ignore it. If you care about the survival of democracy, if you believe that institutions must serve the people and not the powerful, then moments like this are your wake-up call. Stay informed, stay engaged, ask hard questions, demand accountability, because justice only exists if ordinary citizens insist on it. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. What we do here isn't just commentary, it's about seeing the bigger picture, about defending the principles that hold this democracy together. Together we can make sure the truth is never silenced, and that integrity always comes before loyalty.